The playoffs are in full swing, so while you're enjoying the part of the season we all love, I thought a quick visit down memory lane for some history-altering events will underline just how impactful the playoffs are to the association and the game we all love. Crucial calls not only add drama to the story, but sometimes it becomes the story of the series, and sometimes even bigger than that. Like it or not, officiating helps shape the NBA for better or worse. Not to hate on the officials, especially when we all know that the game of basketball can never be officiated with 100% accuracy. And even if that might be possible, with all the technology available, that only removes the spontaneity and drama from the game. Okay, before we get to these history-altering moments, to emphasize the context of this exercise, let me tell you ahead, we're not counting the fouls that the Lakers are getting the past 2 seasons. Because, well, obviously, it hasn't altered much basketball history. Also, we're not counting Draymond Green's vasectomy on LeBron in the 2016 finals, nor Robert Horry displaying his MMA skills in 2007, since the suspensions for those calls did more damage than the actual call. All right, let's start with one iconic play. A play that, to this day, New Yorkers still talk about and will continue to talk about until the end of time. I'm talking about Larry Johnson's 4-point play. I hate beating a dead horse, and it's just sad to pile on the Knicks, especially considering they almost never have a good year since the 90s until recently. But let's talk about it. The Knicks, down 91-88 with 11.9 seconds left, Game 3 of the Eastern Conference Finals, back in 1999. You might think this stage is not so dramatic, considering it's just a one-possession game, and that might be true in this era of the NBA, but that's not the case in the 90s. Three-pointers didn't rain down that often, as they are now, so it's not really all that simple. But Larry Johnson shot it anyway. Well, looking at the replay, he almost had to. Jalen Rose almost forced a turnover from a Charlie Ward inbound that required him almost 6 seconds just to get a shot off. But here's the twofold controversy. Number one is the contact by Antonio Davis was minimal at best. And Mr. Davis's defense, a good contest, was all he needed, considering that LJ, although a solid scorer, is not really known for his outside shooting. What I mean is, there's a reason why to this day, Pacers fans can't consider that a foul. But let's just say it's a foul. And this leads to the second part of the controversy. If there's really a violation, there shouldn't be a continuation, since clearly LJ took an entire second to fire after the contact. But well, that's what it was called. After this game, New York got all the momentum and won the next 2 games. But yet again, not all that cleanly, at least to the ones who remember the last game. A game where arguably all calls went in favor of the Knicks. Look, this is not a bitter Pacers fan take. But if you look at all the details closely, you understand the sentiment from Indiana. It really looked like the NBA wanted a Cinderella story, and they got one. After this series, the New York Knicks would be the first 8th seed to ever reach the finals, a record that still stands today. Just imagine if the series swung the other way, just how much bleaker the following years would have been for them. Since we already started with one Knicks what if, let's keep the action going and get all the way back to 1993. All the 4 impassioned Charles Smith layups that just get no love. This guy is not an afterthought, and he's actually a solid player. Charles Smith, an athletic big man who knows how to score, went up multiple times, yet didn't get a single call in his 4 attempts at the rim, and instead, these misses led to a Bulls fast break that sealed New York's doom in 1993. The Bulls would win the next game, end the series on their home floor, and ultimately win their 3rd straight finals. To this day, Knick fans still agonize over the thought of not giving Smith a chance for free throws that would potentially give them a ticket to Game 7 back on their home floor. At the end of a highly contested game, history would tell you players will decide who wins and who loses, not the refs. Still, in this specific series though, where each team won their home games and physicality is at its most brutal, it's tough to just dismiss this case for the Knicks, where calls and no calls dictate the final outcome. Now let's jump to bigger moments. I'm talking big Game 7 moments. Let's talk about the Boston Celtics facing a familiar foe, the LA Lakers, back in 2010. You might remember this as the Ron Artest game or Phil Jackson's final championship game. On the Boston side, you got KG uncharacteristically ball-watching instead of fighting for position down low. Ray Allen missing crucial free throws and Nate Robinson playing instead of Rondo. On the other side, Kobe is having an off night, Sasha Vucevic unusually being good on defense, and Pau Gasol bringing the ball? Not to mention Ron Artest hitting a big three? This was a highly competitive game that tested both teams' composure. And though the final score of 79-83 says this was a slow and ugly game, there's way more intensity and action than what the numbers say. But even that lovely nostalgia of that game can be muddled when one remembers all the bad calls that sided the Lakers. I mean, for starters, the Celtics had 17 free throws, and the Lakers had 37 free throws overall. And it's not for the lack of trying even. Check Rajon Rondo's patent teardrop with less than 6 minutes to play. Pau Gasol clearly hit him, while the Spanish big man on the other end can't even be called for traveling. It gets more eyebrow-raising when you realize that Kobe almost outshot the entire Celtics team with his own 15 free throws in his off night. Turns out a little help from the officials can be a very helpful thing in Game 7s, especially when you shot a putrid 32%. That's 56 shots missed, to be clearer. This was a costly game, filled with critical calls that make you wonder how the fate of the two most decorated franchises in NBA history might have changed. Not to mention the Hall of Famers involved. How would this have affected their legacy? Imagine if Kobe only won one championship after Shaq left, especially losing in this fashion. Or imagine a world where Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, Ray Allen, Rajon Rondo were never beaten by Kobe and the Lakers on the grandest stage. Pretty history-altering, right? Ultimately, these calls are close, but do I think the NBA is rigged? There are some instances that make you wonder, but I'm not there yet. I just think that they require machinations to manipulate the game. And if ever a few do have the power to win a game, a series and ultimately a title still fall to the players. And that makes the NBA worth watching. But what do you think? Other crucial officiating? Let me know in the comment section and feel free to like and subscribe for more basketball content.